Alright, how's everyone doing? So, this is the second video. We're gonna go ahead and download vmplayer in order to run our actual VMs. So, here's a quick overview. If you didn't catch the last video, if you want to, the last video will be in the description. Alright, so what is a VM? A VM is a operating system that is running under an application or virtualization software that basically provides it the resources and initiates the operating system to run. It's really simple if you want to be able to use a different operating system than your host operating system, which is what you have on your actual hardware. So we'll go into, for example, my host operating system is going to be a Windows 10 device, and it's actually installed on the physical drive. And in order for that operating system to initiate, the motherboard BIOS will actually initiate the boot sequence of Windows to start up. And all the hardware that is on there is dedicated for the host operating system that's running on it. So that boot sequence is going to be on the hard drive. When I scroll through and look at BIOS, BIOS is going to notice that it's a Windows operating system. So imagine I have my Windows device up, which is the blue background, and then I execute a software that does virtualization, and then I load a Unix operating system into that software. What does that do? So the difference between that and my host operating system is my host operating system is still running, and it executes the application or the program, which we're going to use VM Workstation Player, and then that is going to virtualize an operating system, which I'm going to load into it. We're going to get to that later. And what's going to happen is I'm going to run Unix. Unix is going to be installed into a virtual drive, quote unquote virtual drive, which is a file that is on the physical drive. So that file is going to pretend to be a hard drive. So in order for that boot file that's stored on the virtual drive to initiate, a virtualization software will have to act as a BIOS in order to start that up. And that's what VM Workstation Player, or I'm just going to call it VM Player, is going to do. It's going to go ahead and act as a BIOS and start that up. The thing about that virtualization is that it is only allowed to run the amount or of resources that we assign to it. So even if I have 16 gigs of RAM and I run a whole bunch of games on my actual Windows device, it's going to go up until 16 gigs of RAM because that's all I physically have. In the virtualization software, we can tell it how much RAM can go to the operating system that we're virtualizing. So I can tell Unix to run 4 gigs out of the actual 16 that I have, and Unix will only run those 4 gigs that I told it to. Then something that you guys may not have seen, but would be awesome if you could, and we'll do it later on. We'll go ahead and start up an Android VM. Yes, you can actually start up a operating system that lives on a phone and start it up into an actual virtualized VM and run it on your computer. And you could probably play games if you want, access Google Play. But we'll go ahead and start that up, and it's the same thing. It's installed on a virtual drive, which the virtual drive is a file on the hard drive on the actual drive that the operating system lives on. And we'll go ahead and break open the actual virtualized drive also when we get there. The virtualization software initiates the operating system to go ahead and boot, and it's also surviving off the designated hardware resources that we assign to it. Nothing more. That's the end of that. Alright, so to do this, we're going to go ahead and just go into Google and do VM Workstation Player. Hit enter. Alright, so in here, we're going to go ahead and download VMware Workstation Player. Click that and it's going to take us over to Workstation Player. So I have a Windows operating system. I'm going to hit download now. And it's going to download. So I'll see you guys back when it's done downloading. So vmplayer is now done downloading. We're going to go ahead and execute it. Yes, I want to download. Alright. Next, I accept. Next. No, thank you. Check for updates. This is good to have. And the VM experience improvement, I usually leave everything default because I would like to give back information, but you can always not add that. We'll go ahead and leave everything in default. Alright, and then we will install. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys something that changed here. In this virtual network drive, it's adding all the virtualizations that it needs. Alright, so VMware Workstation Player. We're gonna go ahead and open that up. This is a non-commercial. We're not doing anything commercial with it. I'm not working for a company to use it. Alright, so these are all owed. It has what it did is it went through and looked at my operating systems that I already have on here, but don't have to worry about that. We're gonna go ahead and go over this a little bit. What I do want to show you, it got stuck in that networking. So I did a pre-VM where IP config, and just to show you, so we have wireless LAN adapter, we have all this, but this was before I installed it. Now we're going to do a CMD, and we're going to compare the two. This is just one of the features that you will see. So what it does is it sets up a a virtual networking card, a NIC. And what this is going to be able to let us do is, if we want our virtual machines to run within themselves within a different network, we have an actual adapter for that. And we also, obviously, the networking machines also need an actual virtual network card to run, and we'll go ahead and set all that up, but this is just a basic configuration. So yes, we just started it up, and we will go ahead and show you how to create a virtual machine, open a virtual machine, and what you will need. But this is the basics. You now have VM Workstation on your computer. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and you watch the next one to see how we actually get a Unix operating system on there. Alright, thanks for watching.